Hi, I'm Johnny from ultimatepapermache.com, and I just now finished creating the pattern for my horse sculpture, and it's going to fit on a shelf, you know, like this, like my giraffe. Now, so far I haven't actually finished it yet. I'm so excited to see how it's going to look when it's all done. But I wanted to make this video first so you can see how to put the pattern pieces on cardboard, how to cut them out, and how to put them together in order to create the basic shapes. There's also, it's just a little bit more challenging than some of the patterns that I've made, because you will need to do just a little bit of sculpting on the front with some foil. You need to do that in order to make the nose and the mouth a little bit more realistic. Horses have really expressive mouths. I mean, it was really fun going out to Google and looking at, you know, just doing a Google image search for horse mouth, and the expression on the mouth is just really interesting. And you can use any of those photographs as models when you're doing that part of the sculpting. The rest of it goes together fairly easy, but there are a couple of really tricky parts, and that's why I wanted to put this video together, even though I'm really anxious to hurry up and get it done. Just as soon as this video is done, it's going to get its paper mache, and then I'm going to paint it, and I'll show you how it turns out. Actually, I'll put a photograph right here so that you can see it now. That's from the future because I don't know how it's going to look yet. But right now I'm going to show you how to put the pieces together, so let's go ahead and get started with that. The first thing you want to do is print it on full sheet labels like I do, or you can use copy paper and a glue stick. It's a little harder to get this, you know, get the pattern stuck on really tight with a glue stick, but it can be done. I've done it before. Then you want to put your pattern onto cardboard. Most of the smaller pieces go on a cereal box cardboard. This part is pretty obvious. Just take your pattern pieces and stick them on your cardboard. Some of the pieces for the neck that go on the corrugated cardboard do need a pretty big piece of cardboard, because you need to line up this line here that's on the pattern with the corrugation lines that are on the cardboard. That way they'll bend in the right way to make a nice rounded neck. And you see, when we do it this way, that takes up a pretty big space. This piece of cardboard, this happens to come from a box that's about, well, this is 11.5 inches, and so it's just a little bit under 12 inches tall. If you don't have a cardboard box that's that big, just go down to your local grocery store, or, well, any store really, and they usually recycle tons of cardboard boxes. I'm sure they'll have one that's big enough for you. So go ahead and put those on there. You do have to, like this one, this corrugation line goes this way, and this one goes this way, so I'm going to have to cut those apart and put them separately on my cardboard before I cut them out. If it doesn't line up exactly with the corrugations, don't worry about it, but come as close as you can. Look, that looks about right. And save this one for a shorter piece of cardboard. You do want to be really careful when you're using your box cutter. I still have a scar from one of these from 50 years ago. They're scary, especially if they're not sharp, so make sure that you use a new blade as often as you need to. You can really hurt yourself with a dull blade. Now, the back pieces do need to get bent a lot, and corrugated cardboard doesn't like bending even more than the cereal box cardboard doesn't like it. So you really do need to kind of beat it up a little bit and just kind of, you know, do that a little bit. We're going to tape them up in order. Obviously starting with number 1. Just bend this back. This is his lower lip. I'm going to put it right there. Tape it there, matching the curve. Then you want to do this dart right there. So this is half of his lower lip, and we need to bend this up like that. Now we're going to do his left nostril and his left upper lip, and that's, when I'm saying left and right, that's as we're looking at him, not the horse's left and right. As if he had one, he doesn't care. Okay, Okay, so we've got to this point, it's pretty obvious. You've got the dart there, and we've got the lip here. But now we need to pull this part up so that this corner matches this corner, like that. Get it right on that corner. There we go. And then we got this corner here. It always likes to stick up. So we'll put that down like that. Put another piece of tape right on top of it. Now we're going to put the lower lip and upper lip together by putting 1 and 2 right here together. So now they look like that, and we're going to pull them around so that this front edges of his lips is right in the center of his mouth. Now we want to come back and put some tape along the inside of the seam right between the upper and lower lip. Put the tape down like that. And this thing here kind of sticks up. It's got those dotted lines. That means we need to move it up. Tape it on the inside. Now I'm going to go back over it and tape it again on the outside. Just put the corner of a piece of tape right there. So now we have 2 of them, and we just need to tape them together right down the center seam. This part right here, right where the 2 sides of the lips come together, you kind of want to flatten out a little bit. Take your time and make sure that they're actually going in like they're supposed to. Now this part here, this little part that sticks out in his nostril, go ahead and press that down. You'll see why in just a minute. We need to fill up those holes so that we have dips in the nostrils, but not, you know, huge holes that let you look into his brains. So we're going to use some aluminum foil. Just cut it in half. Make kind of a saucer-like crumbled shape. Don't make it too little because you don't want it to fall out of the hole. Now we're going to use a hot glue gun, or you can use masking tape if you want to. Put a little bit of glue right along the edge. I know you can't see me doing this because it's pointing in the wrong direction. I have to see where it's doing. There we go. Put your foil in there. Press it down, then turn it over, and then support it from the back and just kind of push down on it. You're going to have little gaps around the edges and stuff. Don't worry about that. That's going to be completely covered up. See, you got a dip. And now we're going to give some definition to right the edges of the nostril. Now I'm crumpling it up right now, just all along the length, but lightly. And now what I'm going to do, now that I've got it pretty much in a rope, I'm going to start squishing down one edge. Now this is the edge that's going to go on the outside, and this is going to make the bump. Just trying to round that out a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to have 2 pieces on each nostril. We're going to have one piece that goes around and then just tapers off right down at the bottom so that there's nothing really right here. So it just tapers. Then there's another piece that goes around here and tapers off. So we're going to leave this part without any foil. So it goes right there. Now that I know that it's pretty much the right size, I'm going to squish this down at the very tip. Put just a little bit of glue right out here. And without burning myself, hopefully, put it right there. Flatten it out right there at the bottom.
now I'm just using this little tool to press it down, kind of smooth it around on the edges so it'll kind of blend in really nicely with the rest of the cardboard when it's all covered up with paper mache. Some horses' lips look like they just heard a really funny joke, and some of them look like they're pouting, or yeah, I mean, they can just have an amazing expression on their mouths, and their noses are all a little bit different. So go find the ones that you really like and sculpt your horse so that it matches your favorite horse. You can even do a portrait of a horse if you'd like to. There's also, when you look at it from the sideways, there's his lip comes out a little bit. So I'm going to add just a little bit down under his lower lip as well. Now see how it goes, kind of dips out right here. It's hard to see this when it's just foil, so I'm going to show you what it looks like with the masking tape over it. Now we're going to tape 5, 6, and 7 together, just bending it to match the curves. And I'm going to bend this a lot, right down the middle. And that's going to help it fit into this spot right here on the nose. That point is right on the center seam line of pieces 2 and 4. I'm going to put just a little bit of tape on the back right here on the corners. Need to bend 8 so it'll match that section right there. Nine and 10 have these little weird things. Just bend right on that line, pull it around so that it matches right there. Just match that curve. I'm going to start at this inner corner. I'm going to turn it over to the inside, tape this part back over here and reinforce it now that it's staying where it belongs. '11 goes in this spot and it curves in a lot of different directions. So go ahead and wear it out. We have to turn it over in order to get those curves to match. I'm going to tape this on the back. Tape this part on the back. All these little lines right here should come together. Go ahead and put 12 on exactly the same way on the other side. 13 needs to be bent in the middle so it'll fit up against this line. We need to bend this up on the line and then tape this long dart. This line is the underside of his eye, so we want to get that lined up. 16 and 17 have a lot of darts that need to be taped together. So just, you know, bend it like usual and then just tape those up. You just follow the curve around here. This is the underside of his cheek. This little point comes right to the point of number 13. You go ahead and do the other side exactly the same way with number 17. 18 and 19 are part of the eye socket. And this has to be bent down and bent around. I'm going to do this long seam first, and this will then eventually match up with that. Kind of have to push them together to get the curves to match. Now this is really going to fight you because it doesn't want to curve up because it's cardboard, but it needs to go right there where those angles meet, and we're going to do that on the other side. And now we can bring the edges of the eyes forward and tape those on at the back. And we get to wrestle with the other one on the other side exactly the same way. 20 and 21, they're exactly the same. Just goes right around the eye, on the inside of the eye socket. They curve outward and they're going to follow the curve of the eyeball, which is next. So now would be a really good time to turn on your hot glue gun again, or you can use masking tape for the eyeball too if you want to. Okay, so that's how it goes, and now we're just going to put the other one on top of it in order to give more of a shadow, because horse hide is actually thicker than a little piece of cardboard. So we're just going to put that right on top. I'll just tape that on there. In fact, I'm going to use masking tape this time just because it's easier for me to get it to smooth on. Sometimes the plastic tape just makes a lot of wrinkles that are hard to get out. Pieces 20 and 21 go on the right hand side, and you can see that it actually comes down to the point here on the outside. You leave the inside corners bare because the eyelids won't cover those. Then 22 and 23 go on the left side. It's got a foam ball. I'm going to cut it in half, and I like using a bread knife. I'm going to put just a few little touches of hot glue. Now I'm very quickly sticking it on here, then turning it over, pushing it up against the eyelids. "24" goes right over that eyebrow bone and attaches to 8. Want this angle to line up. So now I've got both of them taped on both sides, and I'll just start taping them together. "26 and 27 just go right here. It's getting a little bit hard to hold unless you've got really big hands. I don't. And just do the same thing on the other side. And then tape them together right down the middle. Some of these heavy cardboard pieces come to just a little bit too much of a point, but you can just squish it down. Once it's covered up with paper mache, that'll soften up a lot. These long skinny pieces go on the front of the neck. I'm really beating it up here. Got curved just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do this in advance. It'll be really hard to do this part if you've already got it taped on. We're just going to put it right there. If you get up here behind it, you can push the head part down to meet the line, the curve on the neck part. Now this continues the curve going this way, and it just goes right along there and goes and fits in that notch right there. So I'm going to just put a piece of tape down here at the bottom to start with. Pull the pieces together so the top, the pattern part fits together. And that very top one needs to be attached to the head. So this one goes right here, and I'm going to start down at the bottom and work up. Push it together so those seams come together right at an angle, and just keep working up very slowly. Let's go ahead and do that on the other side with number 33. Kind of supporting it from inside so I don't squish the head when I'm pushing down on it. Do the same thing with 35 and then tape them down the middle. On 36 and 37, this line here is the center seam that goes down the back of the neck. Just line up that corner with the seam. Hopefully the pattern pieces are going to be lining up. I'll just tack it in a couple of places here. Very good. Excellent. There. .38 goes right here. It's under a lot of stress, so this one's pretty hard to put together. It wants to pull out of alignment, I guess you could say. I'm just going to tack it on down at the bottom so then have a nice straight seam right there, and then just kind of slowly work up like we did for the other pieces on the front of the neck. I'm going to put back piece 2 on here first. Got him sitting on his nose, so I gotta be really careful. I'm going to put it underneath the other pieces and line up that little arrow with the seam. I'm putting it under the other cardboard. You can see the corrugations here. And it's a little awkward. Here we go. Now you can see he is actually standing up without a weight, but it's so lightweight it would be just really easy to knock it over. So I'm actually going to weight the bottom. So I'm going to put this bag of sand, just maybe a cup and a half or so of play sand. It's dry, by the way. I've had it for a long time. You do not want to put wet sand, even if it's in plastic, inside of your paper mache horse, because water is the enemy of paper mache. Now a rock would work too. There's all kinds of things that probably would work even better. And it doesn't even need to be this heavy, really. Just anything to make it just a little bit heavier on the bottom. Then we won't have to worry about whether or not we're unbalancing it with the mane or any of that sort of thing. I'm really doing this just to hold it in place while I tape it. I don't think the hot glue is going to really do a whole lot of good, you know, long term. Now, the last time I tried this, I tried using the plain old Scotch tape, and it really didn't work, because every time you'd try to turn it over, the weight of everything and just, you know, being manipulated, it caused the tape to pop off again, and then you'd have to start over. So this time I've got a lot of masking tape cut off. Oops, it's stuck all over me. And we're going to try it doing it this way. This is not the easiest part of the project. Okay. I want it so that it's on the inside of the pieces, of the other pattern pieces. And I need to turn it over. Much better with the masking tape. You could not believe what a pain in the neck that was trying to use the plastic tape. Even though it's super sticky plastic tape, it's just still didn't work. Now it feels a lot more substantial. It feels like a real sculpture instead of just cardboard. And our very last piece before we get to do the ears is this back number 1. I forgot to label it. I'll do that before I put the pattern out. This one goes on the outside of the back pieces. We don't have to squish it in to the in between everything. Thought that would save us just a little bit of frustration right at the end of our project. And I'm doing this with masking tape because I'm not going to cover the bottom with paper mache. Paper mache is really good at causing flat cardboard to warp. And we really need this piece to be flat because otherwise it's not going to sit nicely on our table. So what I'm going to do is cover everything else with my paper mache, and then I'm going to cover the bottom with a piece of felt, and that'll just make it look really nice, but without any possibility of the paper getting wet or the cardboard getting wet right here.
Now every ear is going to have two pieces, the big one and the long skinny one. And you start with the big pieces and tape the darts together, and that gives the ear a nice cupped shape. And then the long pieces are going to go on the bottom of the ears. Each long piece has 2 points on it, and the point that you're looking for first is the point that's closest to the end of the long piece. That's going to be taped into the angle on the ear, like I'm showing you here in the video. And when you get that first part taped on really good to the ear, tape it on both sides, because this whole thing really tries to pull itself apart. Cardboard does not like to get curled up. It wants to be flat. And once you have that first edge taped onto the long piece, go ahead and curve that long piece around so that it meets the rest of the lower edge of the ear. Tape that down really good too. And when that's all done, go ahead and curve that long piece around so that it meets itself. The two very short ends need to be taped together. Once everything is all taped together and you know for sure it's not going to pop back apart again, because it really is going to try to do that really hard, then your ear should look like this.
The ears go right around this spot here where there's a little dotted line in a circle. And when it says right ear and left ear, that's our right, not his right. So this is the left ear, it goes over here. Because when I'm looking at him, that's on my left. And we're going to be using 2 different kinds of tape on this because it's just a really fragile connection. So we're going to make it as tight as we possibly can by first just getting it on in the right place with some plastic tape. Then I'm going to go back over it with masking tape so that the paper mache will have something to stick to. And paper mache is a lot, well, it just lasts, 100 years if you keep it dry. And I don't think that plastic tape is going to last that long. I'm pretty sure, actually. So we're going to go back over it with several layers of paper mache after, over the masking tape.
I want to hurry up and get the paper mache on there. Can't wait to see how it looks when it's all done. So come on and visit me, ultimatepapermache.com. And if you'd like to see this specific pattern, there is a small charge for it. You can find it at ultimatepapermache.com/horse pattern. I see you there.